Canadian lawyer and president of the Afghan Women's Organization, Nooria Kamran, co-founder of Children Without Borders, and Tamanna Rubina Yusuf with Afghans of Toronto. Thank you all for being here. I know the last couple of days have not been easy. Asma, we'll begin with you. There is so much to get to, but we'll begin by getting your thoughts on the U.S. president's remarks as he defended his decisions. And here's what he said. American troops cannot and should not be fighting in a war and dying in a war that Afghan forces are not willing to fight. How do you respond to this?
I think it's extremely disappointing that the U.S. president is blaming this on the Afghan people. Anybody knows the history of Afghanistan knows that our people have been in 4 decades of instability and war, most of which has been caused by foreign interests inside Afghanistan, including those of the United States. Thousands of soldiers, foreign soldiers, have lost their lives. Millions of Afghan civilians have lost their lives. And we have 2.5 million refugees around the world, and now there's about 400,000 internally displaced persons. To blame this on the Afghan people is disingenuous. And what our people want, we've had enough. Our people want peace and security, and to form our own government that represents our own people.
Mm-hmm. And Tamanna, how is it for you watching all of this unfold?
I can only say that I'm mortified with the remarks of the president. You know, we expected a lot more, and given, you know, the start of the situation back 20 years ago, clearly America had other interests, which, you know, they probably have fulfilled by now, and as a result, you know, they're leaving us now in this current situation, and I'm just, you know, shocked and horrified with how everything has unfolded so far. Given that, you know, they had made other promises as well to support Afghanistan, and yeah, it's really shocking to see what he actually came up with as a solution, or a lack thereof.
Nooria, we'll come to you now. I know you've been helping a lot of Afghan women and girls on the ground. For 20 years, Afghans have been fighting for their rights and freedoms, and now women are paying the ultimate price. Once again, going back to the dark days, as we're hearing, once again, reaching for their burqas and hiding their IDs and their diplomas. Is this your worst nightmare?
It's our complete nightmare. For the past 5 years, our organization, Children Without Borders, we had been working extremely hard to eradicate child labor in Afghanistan. And our focus was to focus on education, especially girls. We were active in 7 different provinces across Afghanistan, and to see the Taliban takeover is just, it's a nightmare. And it's also, we feel like our dreams were shattered. And but at the moment right now, our focus is still helping the Afghan women and the Afghan girls in any way or capacity we can.
How do you do that, Nooria? How do you keep that work going and not lose the momentum, even though you've lost the country?
We're trying to stay positive and hopeful. At the moment, we're focused on delivering emergency funds to the displaced families in Kabul, Faryab, and Mazar. These are the 3 provinces we're focused on. And most of these displaced families, they include girls, women, and not only their rights are being taken away from them, but they're also in danger. There's a lot of risks for these girls staying in camps that are not safe. They don't even have tents. They have no food to survive. So right now we're taking 1 step at a time, and our focus is delivering emergency aid to these women and girls.
Asma, women leaders, they are on the run, in hiding in that country. What more are you hearing about this?
So for the past few weeks, we've had calls from a lot of women leaders, human rights defenders, and parliamentarians who have, you know, the international community put at the forefront, telling them to fight for gender equality and human rights, and now they're targets of the Taliban. Many of them, particularly in the other provinces, when as the Taliban took over, they've gone into hiding, so we've lost contact with some of them. There are others that are trapped inside Kabul. As you know, that the roads going out of Kabul have all been blocked. The airport, everybody's watching what's happening there. So they are essentially trapped. And so we urge the Canadian government, to the extent you still have planes on the ground, or to our allies, to please help these women. We're not talking about millions of people. We're talking about hundreds of women and their families. Please airlift them out as you leave.
Tamanna, I want to ask you, I think the entire world is just watching in disbelief. We've seen those heartbreaking images coming out of Kabul's airport. This is your country. What was running through your mind when you saw those images?
Of course, I'm heartbroken. And just to go back to what Asma has been saying, firsthand, I know family members who have completely burned or discarded and destroyed their certificates, diplomas, any sort of sign that they could potentially be, amongst the educated Afghans of Afghanistan, so as to not be targeted by the Taliban. So it's really shocking to see. And basically, there's really no hope other than international, our country stepping in and helping airlift those individuals, because clearly they're being killed even at these airports, even on the way to these airports. I commend the Canadian government for accepting another 20,000 refugees, but we need to ensure that the pathways and the infrastructure remains for us to be able to remove those refugees.
Nooria, Ottawa has pledged to bring over 20,000 Afghan refugees, but the Taliban has taken Kabul. So are you losing hope?
We are. There are moments that we're completely hopeless, but at the same time, this is a good sign that Canada has stepped in and has accepted to allow 20,000 refugees to come over. So we are, and also we're still asking the world to please help us. This is a crisis that we have been in for the past 40 years, but this is extremely difficult for us, and especially for women. So we're asking everybody, and we're trying to stay as positive and be as supportive for each other as possible.
Okay. Asma Faizi, an Afghan-Canadian lawyer, president of the Afghan Women's Organization, Nooria Kamran, co-founder of Children Without Borders, and Tamanna Rubina Yusuf with Afghans of Toronto. Thank you all for being here tonight. We appreciate your voice.
Thank you.
Thank you
for having us.
Thank you.